Welcome back to Melly Loves Death Metal. It is officially the time of the year for the year-end lists going out. And today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 death metal albums of 2025. Was going to do a top 20. I have 20 albums pulled out, so 20 through 11 are not really in any order, but these are just 10 other albums that I wanted to call out that I really enjoyed this year, and then I'll do my top 10. A little bit different this year. I know past years I've done like top 50, top 40, and I easily could have done a top 50 this year. There was so many albums that I played and listened to a ton, and just for the sake of my sanity of editing, because I'm going to be putting the names of all of the albums and the band and all that stuff, I figured, you know what? I'm going to do it a little bit simple this year. So, but a little bit of housekeeping, as always, whenever I do these videos. This is my list, my opinion. It's not going to match your list, blah, 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 blah. But I am always curious to know your top 10 albums of the year. So put those in the comments because this is one of my favorite times of the year. I love these videos. I love when people compile this list because I always find things that I missed out this year that I hadn't heard. I always find new bands. I always find new albums. And you're going to hear my dogs barking in the background because, you know, that's just how it is here. So no editing today, except for I'm going to be putting up a little what the band and the album are, and I'll talk briefly about the album, and then I'll link in the description all the albums and their band camps where you can go listen to them. So yeah. Really quickly, before I get started, we did the Heavy Metallurgy year-end stream last night. It was a very late night. I'm exhausted today. I think I went to bed at it was about 2:30, 2:45 a.m. So I am drinking coffee. It is 1:24 p.m. Eastern time right now, and I'm still trying to wake up. So cheers to a long, awesome night. We had a great time last night. So if you watched that stream, you already know my top 10. So that was spoiled for you. But if not, then here you go. Oh, crap, is that still hot? I just tried to pound it and I forgot I got this fucking Yeti thing and it keeps everything really hot. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, these first 10 that I'm showing are basically my 20 through 11. They're not ranked in any order. They're just albums that I wanted to call out that I really enjoyed this year that I probably listened to. Some of the most albums I listened to, and then I'll do my top 10. So the first one is Decrepisy with Deific Mourning on Carbonized Records. This is their second full-length album, and the band is out of the US. So most notable thing to call out here is that they now have a new singer who is from Vastum. Fantastic band. And this band definitely got a lot more darker and just heavier and very sinister sounding from their first full length. I was a huge fan of their first full length, and this one definitely, you can tell that they've progressed and changed their sound quite a bit with the addition of the new singer. Very much has a lot of Vastum vibes to it, and when I first heard that, I kind of was not a fan at first, but after several listens, of course, I've been spinning this a ton. Very heavy and crushing, and like I said, dark and sinister. Dark and sinister is going to be a very big theme in this video today. A lot of darker style of death metal I was into this year. So, yeah, Deific Mourning by Decrepisy, Carbonized Records. Check it out if you haven't heard this yet. It is simply, it's a phenomenal, crushing album. And no sound clips today. That's just going to be way too much to do for editing. And I'll be getting copyright strikes left and right. So, like I said, in the description will be the links where you can go listen to these and get an idea of what they sound like. The next one is, and this one I probably have played several times in the background. I thought about putting it on today, but I figured no music today. Let's just talk about the music instead, and that is Disembodiemnt with Spiritual Crypts. Band is out of Canada, and this is their first full-length album on Everlasting Spew. They had, I believe it was a EP or a demo, I can't remember, it's quite a few years ago that I was a big fan of, and been patiently waiting for this album to come out. Very crushing, very different blends of death metal. That modern sound is there. There's some old school death metal sounds, and there's some brutal death metal sounds. But this album, as soon as I heard it, I instantly loved it and had been playing it a lot. And I've featured it in the background of several of my videos this year, probably probably one of the CDs I played the most in the background of my videos. So yeah, Disembodiemnt, fantastic band, fantastic album. If you have not heard this yet, definitely give this a shot, especially if you're looking for a newer death metal band. The next one I want to talk about, and this was tough not having it in my top 10 because I definitely do really like this album, but in terms of what I listen to the most, it was hard to squeak this in there compared to the other albums, and that is Vile Apparition with Malignity. Wow, talking hard. So yeah, band is out of Australia. This is their second full-length album. It was a split release between Dark Descent Records and Mesaku Un Oho, or MSUO, and who the frick is calling me right now? Jesus. Trying to record my video, damn it. Anyway, and yeah, oh man, what an album. This album has some of the best bass lines I have ever heard in death metal. We've got brutal death metal, we've got death metal, we've got even some progginess to it. Very just technical at times, and just at times you feel like you're just being pummeled by great musicianship. That is essentially the best I can explain this album. Definitely a great album, and I know a lot of my friends have this very high in their list, and like I said, it was hard not to put this in the top 10 because I have definitely listened to this quite a bit this year as well. But fantastic band out of Australia. Just check that out. The glare on this CD is awful. Awesome band photos on the back. So yeah, check this out. Dark Descent Records, CD, MSUO did the vinyl. And if you're looking for the vinyl, I'm sure Dark Descent has it in their distro as well. So yeah, Vile Apparition, Malignity. God, I can't say that word. The next is some legends in the scene. This came out relatively later in the year, so it hasn't been out for too long, but this definitely an album that I really enjoy, and have also talked about several times on here, and that is Deteriorot with Awakening, a legendary US death metal band. Take this out of the cellophane here. Legendary US death metal band. And this, funny enough, is only their fourth full-length album. But very good, straightforward, death metal, no frills, just, yeah. So if you're a 90s old school death metal fan, they pretty much have not strayed away from that sound from their first releases that they've put out way back when. And this album is just, they are still making great music. And again, if you're somebody who doesn't really like a lot of the modern style of death metal, then this will be something that you really enjoy. Underrated band. They don't get their praise as much as they should. So, and this is on Extreme Music. Oh my God, there are noises and everything going off on this video today. But you know, as you guys know, you watch my videos, I don't edit this crap out. So yeah, Deteriorot, Awakening, definitely check this out. Awesome album. And like I said, it hasn't been out for too long, but this is one that skyrocketed on my list as soon as it came out. I've been listening to it a lot. The next is, and this is an earlier release, one that has stuck with me all year, and that is Guts with Nightmare Fuel on Iron Fortress Records. This one came out pretty early in the year. It has been one that I've listened to quite a bit. Definitely has a more modern style of death metal sound, but they also incorporate, some of the influences that they obviously enjoyed. The band is out of Finland. It's their second full-length album. I admittedly had never heard of this band until Iron Fortress Records put them out. Very catchy riffs, great straightforward death metal at times, and again, they go back and forth between like the more modern sound, and then you can hear the influences of some of the 90s death metal bands as well. Simply really fun and great record. I really hope that this gets a vinyl release because I will definitely be picking that up. So Guts, Nightmare Fuel on Iron Fortress Records. Next is one that is just, if you're looking for more of a straightforward death metal album, the no frills, that does it in the vein of the old school 90s death metal, then you will absolutely love Filth, Time to Rot. This is their first full-length album. The band is out of Sweden. This was also a split release between Mesaku Un Oho and Rotted Life Records. In terms of death metal and the style, again, very straightforward, very old school 90s influenced, and they do it very, very well. It's not anything that, like that old school death metal wave that's been going on. It's not knuckle dragging or anything like that. It's got great pummeling riffs, great growls, and just, it's a really stellar death metal album. So I know that a lot of the people in my community that watch my videos have talked about this album several times this year, and yeah, everything that you've heard about it is right on par. So Filth, Time to Rot, again, another phenomenal listen. And the next one is, and again, this one was pretty hard to not put in my top 10 because when it first came out earlier this year, I listened to it quite a lot. And definitely one of my favorite underground death metal bands right now, and that is Putred with, oh, I'm going to butcher this, Megalit Putrefactiei. You know what? I'm not going to even try. This was a split release between Iron Fortress Records and Memento Mori. Their second full-length album, the band is out of Romania. Actually, fun fact, they have a new album coming out very soon too, so that's fun. This is your putrid and vile style of death metal, a little bit more of the slower side of death metal, but yeah, it's that putrid and that filthy sound. Their first full-length album I was a huge fan of, but this one I think that they've stepped up their sound and their production and just their songwriting, and it's just a very, very great, it's a great album. Again, one of my favorite underground death metal bands right now, so definitely check them out. Putrid, and yeah, that's essentially what you're getting when you listen to their music. Another Iron Fortress Records release, I could have easily done a top 10 of Iron Fortress Records release this year. Liminal Erosion with In the Time Vultures Talons. This is a one-man Death Doom project from Michael Colby, who was also in Warflurch and Plasmodulated. Phenomenal Death Doom album. Has a lot of atmosphere and ambience added to it, a lot of synths, and at times reminds me a lot of the, older school of Death Doom, funeral Death Doom sounds. You can tell like Evoken is definitely an influence on here. Even some of Worm's earlier works. Yeah, so just a very, very good, straightforward funeral Death Doom album. If you're into this, I think you'll really, really enjoy it. This surprised me. I didn't know it was coming out, and when I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So the ever so talented Michael Colby, Liminal Erosion, definitely check this out as well. Also, I love that artwork. Great artwork. All right. Another one that was, again, could have easily been in my top 10. One that I was chasing on vinyl forever. Every time it came into the US distros, it sold out right away. I finally got it on CD, and then this is basically a Christmas gift to myself. I saw it was on Iron Fortress's distro, and I was like, you know what, I'm grabbing it. I want this on vinyl. And that is Mortual with Altar of Brutality. Costa Rican death metal band, their first full-length album on Nuclear Winter Records. Oh man, this is dark. This is crushing. I was a big fan of their last I think it was an EP or whatever. I love that, but this one is phenomenal. The drumming on here, just the production and the drum sound on here is so organic in sounding. No frills, again, very at times there's dissonance and just cavernous and crushing, but yeah, phenomenal album. And I know this is a lot of people's on a lot of people's year-end list, and that's definitely worthy of being on there. So Mortual, Altar of Brutality, check this out. And then finally, to wrap up this, I guess you could say 10 honorable mentions, or they're my top 20, is Malformed with Confinement of Flesh. This is on Extremely Rotten Productions, another band out of Finland, and this is their first full-length album. The one thing that stood out to me about this album was the guitars. Oh man, the guitar tone and the sound on this are so, so good. I love the riffs that they have on here. And again, another more straightforward death metal album, very crushing, very lots of riffs. And at times it does feel a little atmospheric, but nothing crazy. But yeah, phenomenal stuff. Again, I think that this actually might be my favorite album artwork of the year as well. I love that album artwork. So yeah, Malformed, Confinement of Flesh on Extremely Rotten Productions. Check this out if you haven't heard it yet. All right, so now let's get into my top 10. At number 10 is Ritual Mass with Cascading Misery. On $20 Spin, this is their first full-length album, and there's a band out of the US. This album is essentially, the cover is essentially what you're getting with this album. Dark and crushing, soul-crushing. There is not a single positive sound on this album. I mean, really, this album cover is just black and dark. I think that might be some sort of a cave, and that is essentially what you're listening to. The first time I ever heard this, I was a little bit taken back. I wasn't expecting something so sinister and cavernous and dark sounding, and the more I listened to it, the more I became hooked on it. Absolutely love the last song on here. It just has an amazing section where they're just like straight up pummeling you and jamming out. Great musicianship. Again, phenomenal album. I did enjoy their demos and that they put out previously, but this is just monumentally better than their early releases that they've had out, which I think was just like basically a demo. So yeah, number 10, Ritual Mass, Cascading Misery, $20 Spin. Okay, number 9, and this squeaked in. This came out not too long ago, but I have listened to this a ton already since it's been out, and that is Oromet with The Sinking Isle. Oh my goodness, what an album. Again, this squeaked in, and I was so blown away the first time I heard it. I was a big fan of their first full-length album. This is their second full-length album on Transylvania Recordings and Hypothril. I can never say their name, records. So there's, tape, CD, and vinyl for this. I was a huge fan of their first full-length album, and then this came out, and this one was so captivating. We've got some Tolkien style of artwork here, and very much a Tolkien style of funeral death doom. The theme around this is, pretty much loneliness and despair. And it's very much a journey of dealing with that and then not letting it overcome you. And there's like a positive tone to this. It's a very unique twist of funeral death doom. Funeral death doom is generally slow and dark and dragging, whereas this has a lot of more positive sounds to it, positive like guitar riffs, but still with that funeral death doom style of growls in that slower pace, but then it also picks up the pace. So yeah, it's a beautiful album, and you don't often hear that when somebody talks about a funeral death doom album, but it blew me away the first time I heard it, and I've been listening to it probably once a day ever since I got it. So yeah, Oromet, The Sinking Isle, check this out. Okay, and my number 8 is Eternal Darkness with their self-titled album and their only full-length album. Now, this is a band out of Sweden. This was put out on Pulverized Records. A little bit of a backstory. This is a very occult band from the 90s. People have like a cult following around their demos, and then they went on a very, very, very long hiatus after tragedy of their guitarist, I believe, unfortunately was murdered. They are now back in 2025 with their first official full-length album and their only full-length album, because sadly they have broken up. But this is a phenomenal death doom album, very crushing, awesome doomy riffs. Very much has a lot of the influences of like earlier My Dying Bride, some Paradise Lost sounds. Very catchy, phenomenal death doom album. Simon from Explosive Action sent this to me several times after it first came out, and I kind of slept on it, and then finally, I think after the third time, he finally sent it and said that he was so hooked on it. I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to it, and he was right. I instantly became hooked on it, instantly bought the record as soon as I saw it on a distro, and I've been playing this ever since. So I've said several times now since talking about this album, if they're going to release only one album, this album was phenomenal to do that. So yeah, Eternal Darkness, self-titled, Pulverized Records. Check this out if you have not heard it yet. Number 7 is Corpus Offal with, again, another self-titled album. So this is on 20 bucks spin, US band, their first full-length album. A little backstory on this band: these are members of Deteriorot, who Deteriorot are no longer together. They've formed this band, and they definitely have taken Deteriorot's sound of that putrid and vile filthiness, and they've taken it into this band. And I believe that this is a much more better, I wouldn't say better, but I definitely enjoy this quite a bit more than Deteriorot albums that they put out. Very vile and putrid sounding, crushing, heavy as hell at times. At times it can borderline a little bit on the grind side, just a little bit of the death grind, very so subtle. But yeah, I mean, look at that album cover. You basically know what you're getting when you listen to this. So yeah, Corpus Offal with their self-titled. Like I said, it's on 20 bucks spin. Okay, number 6 is Ossuary with Abhorrent Worship. Now, when this album came out, I was so hooked on this. When we did our year-end video for our mid-year video for our favorite albums so far for the year back in July, this was very, very high up. I think I had this at like number 2 or 3. Just a awesomely dark death metal album. This is a band out of the US. It's their first official full-length album. This was a release on Meisaku Un Oho, once again, another one from them. And just, I'm such a huge fan of this band. I have all of their demos and EPs that they've released out over the years, and then finally we have the long-awaited full-length. Izzy, the lead singer, is got these demonic, crazy vocals that are just so heavy and, like I said, demonic and sinister sounding. A very, very dark death metal album, but very, very good. So yeah, if you haven't heard this yet, definitely check it out. It was worth the wait for the first full-length album, and that is Ossuary with Abhorrent Worship. I got people just texting me and stuff. I don't know what's going on here. All right. Okay. Number 5. We're in the top 5 now. And I think that this one, people probably assumed it would be a number 1 for me. And it very well could have been. The top 5 are probably the 5 most listened to albums that I've played this year. Number 5 is Ancient Death with Ego Dissolution. Ancient Death is a US death metal band, and this is their first full-length album on Profound Lore. They have released EPs and demos and a split previously that were phenomenal. Those were on Necroharmonic and Rada Records. And now we've got the first full-length album, and man, this is just top-tier death metal. It is very uniquely done in a way. It's got moments on here that are just so, like, wow, that was so good. Female vocalists on here, definitely, on a couple of female guest vocalists, I should say, on a couple of songs, definitely really set this album on top for me. I love the songwriting and just the story of this album that you feel like you're in when you're listening to it. Definitely has just, again, a more unique sound. Phenomenal record. These guys are very talented, and I'm very excited to see what they do next. I think it might be hard to top this one, I'm not gonna lie, but great musicians. And yeah, Ancient Death, Ego Dissolution. What you've heard about it, the hype, it was very hyped up, and I agree with that hype. I think it is very, very worthy of it. So check it out if you have not. Number 4, Sepulchral Curse with Crimson Moon Evocation on Dark Descent Records. This band is out of Finland. It is their third full-length album, and I think that they're a little bit more of the underrated bands on this list. This album is so dark as well, has a little bit of a dissonant atmosphere to it, but very low guttural growls that are just resonate throughout the whole entire album. Phenomenal guitar solos. I love the guitar riffs on this album. Just the minute I heard this, I knew that this was going to be one of my favorite albums, and it's stuck with me ever since it came out this year. One of the, like I said, these top 5 are some of the most listened to albums that I've played. Definitely worthy of your ears and to check out. Like I said, their third full-length album, their other 2 albums were out in Transcending Obscurity, and those are phenomenal, but I think this is by far their best album that they've put out so far. And yeah, I would say that album cover pretty much tells a story of the type of music that you're listening to. So Sepulchral Curse, Crimson Moon, Evocation, check it out. All right, top 3. And these could have easily been my number 1. It was hard to rank these, but these are definitely my 3 most listened to albums of the year. And 2 of these have been my favorite albums of the year since they came out before July. So they've been stuck around, but one squeaked in there too. So, but number 3 is Gored Embrace with In the Presence of a Malevolent Soul. Chicago, U.S. Chicago band, their first official full-length release on Iron Fortress Records. Was a huge fan of the demos that they put out several years ago on Gurgle and Gore, and since then I've been tracking this band and hoping and waiting for a full-length, and we finally have it. They do a really good job of blending several different styles of death metal. We've got the old school death metal, we've got modern death metal at times, it's brutal death metal, and just a very catchy album. One that I've played a lot, and I was very happy that they pressed this on vinyl because I only had it on cassette before. So again, I messaged Ben from Iron Fortress a couple weeks ago and I said, you know what, I think that's probably one of my most played albums this year. It's been very consistent in my rotation ever since it came out, and I really enjoy this album. So Gored Embrace, In the Presence of Malevolent Soul on Iron Fortress Records. Check this out if you haven't yet. Just phenomenal band, and I'm really excited to see what these guys do next. And my number 2, man, Evoken with Mendasium. Now, Funeral Death Doom I know is not for everybody, and I know Evoken is not for everybody. Evoken is one of my all-time favorite bands. I absolutely love everything that they've ever put out. And I was very excited about this album. It's their 7th full-length album on Profound Lore. 7 albums into their discography, and it was to the point of what is this band going to do next that they haven't done already? And well, they did it. This is a thematic album, very much around basically religion and spirituality, and just I love the backstory of why they wrote this album and what it's about. But the thing about this album that really stuck with me is just how cathartic it made me feel. And at times I would put it on and I would try to have it as just playing in the background while I'm trying to get some work done or I'm sorting through records or whatever else. And I just completely stop and listen. It's one of those albums where it just puts you in the moment and you want to listen to it beginning to end. And it's one of the very few Funeral Death Doom albums that I can play over and over again, and even played in my car, which I don't do very often. That's not a genre of music I play in my car, and I just get so immersed and so captivated with it. So yeah, Evoken, the legends, made me so happy with this release. I love it. So yeah, again, I know it's not for everybody, so I don't expect everybody to agree with that, but for the people that really have messaged me and talked about this, I've enjoyed it because this has been one of my favorite albums to have like in-depth discussions on. So Mendasium, check it out. And my number 1 has been my number 1 all year, even in the mid-year stream that we did on Heavy Metallurgy. Toughness. God damn, what a dumb band name, I will admit. Black Respite of Oblivion. Polish band on Gods of War, their first official full-length album. If you know me well, you know that Demolik is one of my all-time favorite albums, death metal albums. I still, to this day, absolutely love that album. I have so many copies of it on cassette and vinyl. Every time it gets a reissue, that's the one that I end up buying just to collect. This band is straight up Demolik worship, but they do it in a little bit more of a modern way. They even have the artists from Demolik's album doing their artwork as well. But the one thing that I absolutely love about this album is that there are 3 tracks that feature Will Smith from Afterbirth, Artificial Brain, and Reeking Aura. Will is one of my all-time favorite death metal vocalists. Afterbirth is one of my favorite death metal bands, and those songs really stood out to me. When I first heard this album, I didn't know that he was on this, and when I was listening to it, I was like, that sounds familiar. But yes, just It stuck with me. As soon as I heard this album, I was like, man, I didn't think I needed a Demo worship band until I heard this. And a lot of people have said that it's phenomenal. And like I said, it's not just straight up Demo worship. They do stuff in their own way as well. And they're a group of young guys. So I'm excited to see what they put out next and what they move forward with. But just, man, I love this album. I as soon as I heard it, I became hooked on it, and like I said, it's been my number one all year, and it's one that I listen to by far the most. So check it out, Toughness, Black Respite of Oblivion on Gods of War. That's it. That is my top death metal albums of 2025. I just want to say thank you everybody for the phenomenal year that I've had. This has been one of the more successful years that I've had on YouTube. Some of the most subscribers and views and interactions and fans. Well, not fans. That's weird. Friends, I guess you could say. I've made so many new friends this year through my channel, and I've done so many collaborations, more than I ever have, and it's been a phenomenal year. So thank you guys for all of your support. I'm so grateful for you, and for that, I am doing the week-long giveaway once again, like I did over the summer. Starting this Monday on the 29th, I will be announcing a new giveaway every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, of giveaways that I have, that I've been saving up and getting and collaborating with people on. And it'll be YouTube member only giveaway, YouTube subscriber giveaways. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, I'll be doing giveaways over there. And then I'll do one mega giveaway on Friday that's going to have a lot of awesome, cool stuff. So make sure, to check those videos out. This isn't my final videos of the year. Those are my final videos of the year. And yeah, that's all that I have. And I will see you guys in the next one.